The Tarot Reader of Versailles by Anya Bergman. I am trying to read different things, and for me, historical fiction is different. And after reading Beautyland, which I did not enjoy, I needed something of a hug. Like, I still wanted to be branching out and doing some historical fiction, but I also liked that it had tarot in it, which is like, for a recovering speculative fiction fanatic, it's like a comfy hug to know that there's future telling and tarot and everything in there. What I didn't expect in the Tarot Reader of Versailles, and I probably, if I'd known about it before I started reading, I would have rejected the book. I would have like, no, I'm not taking this risk. And I'm so glad I didn't know that this was in there, because it turned out to be the best part. There is a bisexual love triangle in this book, and before you write me off as a bigot, I don't enjoy smut. It doesn't matter who is, I don't want to read it. And if you do, that's fine. Like, you do you. If you enjoy it, go for it. But for me, I have stopped picking romance books. I've stopped picking anything with a clear romance plotline in the marketing, because smut and even fight scenes, I just find it boring. I don't want to read it. I don't care. I don't enjoy the process of reading that. So if you do, go ahead. So then why did I so enjoy this, not just one set of lovemaking scenes, but two sets of lovemaking scenes, and one of them not even aligned with my straight preferences? Like, I'm so glad that Anya Bergman had her hooks in me, and I was already obsessed with this book before I thought to ask that question.
As always, let's start with the synopsis as spoiler-free as possible. The Tarot Reader of Versailles is set primarily in France during the French Revolution. It follows both real and fictional characters, the real ones including Queen Marie Antoinette and her tarot reader, Marie Anne Adelaide Lenormand. The fictional ones include the moon to Lenormand's son, who is the Irish woman Caitlin Molloy, called Caterina de Luna while she's in France, and her lover, Thomas Riley. Lenormand is loyal to the Queen and the monarchy. Caitlin is dedicated to Irish independence, and Riley convinces her they need French soldiers to achieve that, so Caitlin is a French revolutionary. Lenormand and Caitlin read the tarot and offer supernatural guidance to their clients, with Lenormand seeing the future and Caitlin the past. Because of their abilities, they are right in the thick of the changes befalling France. If you don't know, the French Revolution does not end well for the Queen, and most of the fortunes told end in beheading by the guillotine for the cast of characters, regardless of which side they support in history and in this book. Along the way, this book explores the cost of revolution, gender dynamics, interpersonally and societally, and gives some interesting tidbits about Egyptian mythology as well. Oh, and I should mention that this book is told from 2 points of view. Lenormand tells a first-person tale as normal for that point of view, but Caitlin has a diary she writes in, so it's more curated from her point of view, which is interesting. It works really well. So now, how approachable is this book if you're sleep deprived, which leads to moodiness, and will it cause you to neglect your children? When it comes to sleep deprivation, look, I think we all know how history goes. Is this why people read historical fiction, by the way? Because you don't have to feel suspense and surprise about how the grand events of the plot will go? If you often read historical comments, would you let me know why in the comments? I'm really curious now. Anyway, you know in this book that the 2 main characters will survive, and you guess which other few might make it out with their heads still attached. Also, whenever you see a minor character, the author reminds you gently where you saw them before, so you can relax about that too. You don't have to remember all these names. So Honestly, a sleep deprivation addled brain should do okay with this book. But what about the story's effect on your mood? This is pretty gory history after all. It's sad to know, but you know that most of the characters will die. And yet, this story stays very closely within 5 characters. The protagonists, the Queen, Princess Louisa, and Riley. You know from early on that 2 of them will die. Actually, if you know history, you probably know which 2 will die. 2 will live, and for reasons I'll get into later, you hope that the last will die. There's less gripping fear as a result than you might expect. The questions of who is right and how will it play out and will they get caught for this are always there, but it's also inevitable that the crushing reality isn't crushing. So, to round out this section, will you neglect your kids because this is such a page turner? Honestly, of the books I've so far reviewed for this channel, this is the most gripping story yet. It's still not Mistborn to keep you awake till 3 in the morning, but this is one that I kept pulling out to read in the little gaps of life rather than just when I had big blocks of time. So I don't think you'll neglect your responsibilities to keep reading the Tarot Reader of Versailles, but it has a good chance of being more compelling than scrolling or another video on YouTube at 2 in the morning. It's kind of the perfect mix of page turner and put downable. So now we get to the stuff I love to chat about. Call it tropes, call it techniques, call it the decadence of the story. We'll start with contrasts. There are so many things contrasted in this story. City and rural, monarchists and revolutionaries, pacifists and violent actors, men's and women's rights, heterosexual and homosexual love, the past, the future, truth and lies. Half the time I was in this story, I was marveling but that both things can seem right simultaneously. Or, in other words, that the devil is in the detail. It was a delightful thing to be brought to such philosophical musings, not by a lecturing voice, but by characters trying to do the right thing in turbulent times. It made me appreciate that I need to speak up for what I believe, and not in an aggressive way, just a clear way, because we can all take the same input and interpret it in different ways. That probably we all have some merit and some weaknesses. I just loved the contrasts in this book and the way it got me thinking. Romance. As I said in the intro, I don't like romance subplots anymore, or at least I don't trust them. This book does have some open door romance scenes, but it's not smut or romanticy levels. It's a paragraph or 3, not a whole chapter at a time. It wasn't gratuitous either. It told how the relationship played out in the bedroom, and then it glosses over the details once you've grasped the mood. There was a bit of yearning that felt true, if that's what you're looking for. Everything didn't just automatically happen. But I can't hold off any longer. There might be more tropes to luxuriate in, but I have to tell you why I was hoping one of the 5 main characters would die. Riley. He starts out as the kind, class-blind tutor in Ireland who helps dear Caitlin. He turns into a lover who insults Caitlin and then asks her to keep going with lovemaking. Every time they do it, he's like, "Tarot reading is a scam. Come to bed with me." Even though Caitlin is legit magical in seeing people's past and reading their tarot cards. Or he says, "You're so silly to support women being part of the new system of government. Now take off your skirt." Ew! Just ew! And instead of slapping him, Caitlin thinks he's hot and climbs into bed. You what? Since Caitlin seemed hormonally bound to keep liking his misogynistic ass, I had to start hoping that he'd die. Or better yet, she would dump his ass and tell him exactly why. No spoilers, but Anya did try to write him a growth arc of redemption, and I think there was a scene where I was supposed to cry for him. No. Just no. This is why I loved having the supportive lesbian romance in there too. The contrast was delightful, even though I couldn't relate to the sex on a visceral level, which I never do in books anyway. I found myself wishing that that's how my boat floats. They were so respectful of each other's right to choose, even when their opinions were at complete odds. I have never seen the hidden misogyny in heterosexual relationships as clearly as I did in this book. To be clear, this love triangle was a subplot, so don't discard of or choose this book just because you think these romances are the central theme. They're not, although they are the best part, in my opinion.
I think you should read this book. I enjoyed reading this book. I learned some historical things. I pondered some deep philosophical thoughts. I made new character friends. It was a fulfilling read. I'm so glad I read Anya Bergman's The Tarot Reader of Versailles here on Reading Gems. I'm Gemma. Please like this video if you liked the video and subscribe if you would like to see more that are similar to it. Happy reading!